Hey, I'm doing my Asian noodle salad with pork wontons tonight, and the recipe that I sort of took as a jumping off place had the noodles and all the vegetables together, and then you dressed the entire thing, but that really wasn't what I wanted. What I wanted was to have noodles on the bottom and then put as much of the salad on top of it as you wanted, and then put the pork wontons on top of that, sort of like croutons, if you will. So, since I know I'm not the only one that has family members that may want to put this together as they want, not all mixed together to begin with, I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. I've got the water heating up to do the simple sesame noodles that I did before. I served them with the chicken lettuce wraps, and they are super, super, super simple. Like, you can just follow the recipe and it will be no big deal. And again, I found the rice noodles, or maybe they're egg noodles, but they're whatever for lo mein. They just were in the international section of the grocery store. So what I've done is I've cut up just red cabbage, purple cabbage, whatever you call it. And I literally just took that much of the head. Wasn't that much. But it made this much. So I'm going to put this in the bottom of my bowl. I've just got a glass bowl over here. Got a glass bowl. I'm going to put all my crunchy veggies in it. See? All the crunchy veggies in it. And I got a humongous English cucumber, which are technically, I think, classified as seedless. They aren't quite as pulpy in the middle with seeds as the Kirby's, but I cut it in half lengthwise. I took a spoon and ran it down the middle until I got the seeds that are there out, and then I cut them into these half moons. I'm going to add that to here, as well as I got we eat these mini sweet peppers with ranch dip and just plain, and I put them on salads. So I just got a bag of mini sweet peppers, and I probably took, I don't know, I just eyeballed it, but I did about 4 or 5 of them, and they're pretty good size. So I've got these lovely things to throw in there as well. And because I think I've told you how much I hate doing a bunch of dishes, I just put them on a paper towel on the counter, on a clean countertop, so I don't have to wash as many dishes. I'm just going to take this over here and just dump it in the bowl. So I have got this lovely looking salad going here. And I also have julienne carrots, the matchstick carrots, that I am going to sprinkle in. And I love these. They're washed and ready to use. And I'm going to put about a cup in there for the amount that I've got. I think the recipe says 3 English cucumbers, more of the head of cabbage. It says a lot. So I'm just doing it how much I think we're going to need. And you might have guessed, I'm doing this to make so that we can eat it 2 nights in a row, which is, in my opinion, the best thing going, because you cook less. If you find things your people really like or you really like, then you can eat it more than once. Sometimes the stuff just has to get a chance to have all of the flavors meld together. So it's even better the second day. And I'm going to take this Napa cabbage. That's what it looks like. And I'm going to just start slicing this up as well. And I love the color of this. It's that really bright, light green. Now, I do things, as you probably could tell, the easy way. So, when possible, and when it's not cost prohibitive, I get cabbage that's already shredded. I get the matchstick carrots. I get the bean sprouts already washed and dried and prepared in this bag for you. I get all of that just because it's easier. So I'm gonna take this Napa cabbage, which is kind of curly. It almost looks like frisee. And I'm going to sprinkle it on top. And I might do a little bit more of that. This has a pretty mild taste. It's not as intense as the green cabbage or bitter as the green cabbage, and it's also not as intense as the purple cabbage, but it's a good combo. Okay, so I'm also got these bean sprouts here. I'm going to put a good portion of these bean sprouts on. Probably about half the bag. Now, if I were going to make this in advance for it to sit for a day in the refrigerator and want to eat out of it for a couple of days, I would not put the bean sprouts in yet. I would keep the bean sprouts out and put them in right before I served it because they get kind of mushy and yucky. This is the dressing, and I will include the recipe underneath the video, but the dressing is all kinds of yummy stuff. It is rice vinegar, it's olive oil, it is sesame oil, it's ginger, garlic, brown sugar, soy sauce, I don't know if I said that already, and this is oyster flavored sauce, and I literally just buy whatever is in the grocery store in the international aisle because I don't know the difference. I'm not a connoisseur of oyster flavored sauce, but it is a thicker consistency than soy sauce, but it's not up to the consistency of like hoisin sauce or plum sauce. It's a little bit thinner than that, but it is almost like a molasses kind of a flavor to a soy sauce. That's about the best I can tell you the marriage of that. It is a sweet kind of a component. But I also used this handy dandy minced ginger that you can get in the jar, which made it super easy. I didn't have to peel any ginger, I didn't have to mince any ginger or grate any ginger. So there's that. All right, and all I did was put it in my measuring cup, mixed it around, and I am going to pour some of it over my veggies. And all this is going to do is be sort of like, for lack of a better way of saying it, a slaw, but it's got all these fresh vegetables to it. So in my head, this has a noodle base, a fresh veggie slaw on top, and then I'm going to show you the coolest trick to doing pork wontons, and it is in no way, shape, or form authentic. I have done the ones that are more authentic. I have made my own wonton wrappers. I have done the whole spiel, and it was fun, but for the average Monday night or Wednesday night dinner, it's just not going to cut it for me to have to do all of that. So I'm going to take the short, easy way out, and I'm going to use the wonton wrappers. I'm going to mix up the filling, and then instead of frying them, so to give you an indication of how long that would take, there are 51 wonton wrappers in the package. The recipe that I use will make 51 pork wontons. I usually double the recipe. So that's 102 pork wontons that you cannot crowd the pan when you fry. So you would have to stand over the pan and babysit them and fry them times 102, which is just insane to me. So look, you can see what this looks like. Whoa, let's not lose the tongs. It's a lovely mixture of really bright colors. Okay, I'm gonna let this just hang out and marinate over here on the counter. And I think it's gonna have the exact taste that I want. I have extra dressing left over. I didn't use all of it, so that if anybody wants to add more, they're welcome to add more. Now, for our pork wontons, let me just move my veggies over here. The pork wontons are a lot of fun. Generally speaking, when I had littler kids, they loved to do this with me. As you can tell right now, I have no other little kids around me because they're all too busy doing something else. But, super easy. All right, I have in this bowl ground pork. The recipe calls for 1 pound. As we've just said, I do double the recipe, so I have 2 pounds in here. And all I have done is just try to break it up so it's not like those bricks that you get in the packaging. And make sure it's all good. I prefer the organic ground pork. You can't always find it. I do trust the Wegmans ground pork that's not organic. Maybe more fool me to do so, but I generally speaking like everything coming out of that company. So you add to this pork, you add 2 tablespoons of sesame oil. I'm going to do, as we talked about, a double. So I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of sesame oil. 1, almost 2. Don't panic. I just bought more because I go through this stuff. So I'm going to open up the new sesame oil. And this I actually found the same brand sesame oil of the low sodium soy sauce that I like so much, which I was excited about. Yes, these are the things that excite a middle-aged woman when she's cooking. Okay, so I'm going to fill this 3rd tablespoon a little bit over because there wasn't quite 2 tablespoons in the last one. And this will be tablespoon number 4. All right. Now, we're almost done with this. This is literally so easy. The next thing is soy sauce. So I do my less sodium soy sauce. Less sodium is always better. Then you can add salt back in if you need to. But it calls for equal amount of soy sauce to the sesame oil. So since that was 2 tablespoons for 1, I'm going to do 4. Three, 4. Now, it calls for 3 tablespoons of water also. I'm going to add the ginger first. Again, my handy dandy minced ginger jar. So I'm going to do, it says it calls for 1 to 1.5 teaspoons of fresh ginger. I basically just heap it up on the one and call it a day. So since I'm going to double it, I'm going to give a couple of heaping teaspoonfuls. Got to bang it really hard, you know it's come out then. All right, and then I'm going to put 6 tablespoons of water in here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The first time I did it, I didn't think the water was going to be all that necessary, and so I skimped on the water. And then by the time I got to actually parceling out the pork into the wonton wrappers, it was just a kind of a mess. It was a gummy mess. So the water actually really helps the consistency. And I'll post this recipe as well. I can post the recipe for, if you wanted to make your own wonton wrappers, I can post the whole thing. And if you want to do it, more power to you. I just don't, generally speaking, have time on my average day to do it. All I'm doing is turning this over in the bowl until I get it all incorporated, because there was there'd be nothing worse than biting into a wonton and getting all the ginger in one bite or all the soy in one bite. Not that I think my family slows down long enough to chew on some of this. These are very popular. I think they would make as many as they would eat as many as I made. So, okay. Now I'm going to show you my get up for how I do this. And it's really fancy. It's not fancy. I have a handy dandy metal cooling rack. This is one I use for my cookies and cakes. I have random pan. I would usually want a dark pan if I want something to get crunchy. These are so tiny, they're not going to be in there all that long. The crunch factor is not going to be an issue. I want the middle to be a little squishy. So it's not, the color of the pan is not that big of a deal for this. So I'm going to very imprecisely put this down on the pan. I'm going to take ham. I think I should have stock in this. And I'm going to spray the rack and the pan. I apologize in advance to whichever kid has to watch this tonight, but I'm probably going to have to do 2 panfuls. Now, I'm going to open up, and I promise not to make you sit and watch me do 102 dumplings. Promise. But I am going to show you how to do it, show you how easy it is. Just opening up, and I found these Nasoya, is how I would pronounce it, wonton wrappers, and incidentally, they are vegan. It's not necessary for our family, but if it is for yours, then they're vegan. And what I'm going to do is, I found them in the grocery store. At Harris Teeter, they have them in the case that has the kimchi, and it's the case with the packaged clamshells of the organic salads, the mushrooms, the packaged vegetables, and it's on the top shelf with the kimchi and other stuff like that. The first time that I did this, I thought I had to, I had to fry them, but I ended up baking them because I took the little card out of here and it gave suggestions for how you bake them. So I will put those on my underneath the video as well. But for now, I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to get down a little container and I'm going to put some water in it. You can do an egg wash. I think we have already talked about how I'm all for the ease of use. Egg wash is harder. Water works just as well. So, I'm going to grab another measuring spoon. Now, meanwhile, my water is just hanging out back there getting warm for my noodles. And the sauce for the simple sesame noodles is so simple. It's just got a few ingredients, I'll post it, that I will do that last. I will do the noodles. I think they take 5 minutes. They might not even take 5 minutes. And I will show you what that looks like at the end. I'll post the recipe, but it's so fast, I'll just do it at the very, very end. Okay, you take your wonton wrapper, and they're not that big. These are about the size of the palm of my hand, so they're not like the egg roll wrappers. And I've got to remember exactly how much I put in here because it's been a long time. I got out a tablespoon measuring spoon, but I have a feeling that it's going to be more like half a tablespoon. You might just have to eyeball it and see what you're comfortable with. And if you can coax this sucker closed with it packed full of ingredient, rock that out. If you can't, make more. Don't sweat it. It's very easy. Okay, I've got it in the middle. I'm going to take my finger and put it in the water, and I'm going to paint it on 2 sides, 2 edges of the wonton wrapper. And I'm going to squish the sides, just press them together. They're kind of gummy. Now, I like to then fold the ends down, and you're left with this. It can cross its arms in the back like this. I like to take a little bit of water and put it on the point and just make the little hands fold over like that. So it's like a little bow tie. And then all I'm gonna do is put it down on this pan, and as long as you've got it over the pan underneath it, you're good. When I'm done, when this whole pan is full, I'm gonna take the cooking oil, and if you have a mister and you want to use olive oil or canola oil or vegetable oil, if you want to use coconut oil, I don't care, whatever oil you want to use. If you want to crack an egg, do an egg wash with a little bit of water and an egg in a bowl and brush every single one of them with egg, rock that out. I'm doing it for ease and for quickness, so I'm just going to load them up, spray them down until they get wet on the top, put them in the oven, and bake them. And I will look up the time the baking time. It's not very long, and I want to say it's in the 400s that you bake them, so you do them pretty quickly. That's what that looks like. So the finished product is going to be my simple sesame noodles, which are egg noodles that are, I use egg noodles. You can use rice noodles, you can use spaghetti, you can use whatever you want to use that's just a thin noodle. I'll show you what I get. This is what I get when I have the option. These are lo mein noodles. I like the consistency. These are actually egg noodles, but I've gotten rice noodles before. I've gotten buckwheat noodles before. I've gotten the thicker soba noodles before. Whatever you like. If you just have a package of thin spaghetti or angel hair hanging out in the pantry, use that. It works just fine. And it's soy sauce, sugar, garlic, rice vinegar, sesame oil, hot chili oil, which, let me show you what that is. I got a spicy pepper stir-fry oil. Got it in the international section of the grocery store, and canola oil. And I will literally just do the same thing. I will put it in a measuring cup and whisk it together and pour it over the noodles. And then as soon as I drain the noodles, I'll dress them with the simple sesame dressing that I just read to you. I'll put them in the bottom of the bowl. I will put a bunch of my crunchy vegetable slaw that's dressed in that yummy dressing over it. And then I'm going to take these sweet little wontons that are baked up and crunchy, and I'm going to put them on there like croutons, and that's what we're going to eat. So, yes, Mom, I wish you could come over. I would feed you in a heartbeat. But that's it. It's really rather simple, and it's going to look like it was not so simple. So, as always, ask me any questions. If anything occurs to you, I'm going to start making these 102 pork wontons and put them in the oven to bake, and then I can get my noodles going for when all my family's ready to eat. But I will post a picture of the finished plated product and the recipes when I'm done. Thanks for watching.